Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to our nightly NBA recap. Some fireworks in the last game. It's been a fun day, period, on both sides, the basketball world. But again, this is our NBA nightly recap. Raymond Lyons, I'm Wilson Tarpe Jr. Let's go ahead and get this started, man. We're going to start with Boston. The brooms came out. There would be brooms. This was one of those types of days. People started cleaning quite early. They finished their series with Philly, 110-106. Kemba with 32. Tatum had 28 in a career playoff high, 15 rebounds. Your thoughts in Boston finishing this thing?
I honestly don't think Philly was ever really there the entire series. They just didn't look like a cohesive unit. Embiid did what he could, but even with him, sometimes he just looked kind of disengaged. He would have his stretches when he was dominant, but for the most part, it's just the same old stuff. I mean, like tonight, he had 30 and 10, got to the line 18 times, but he still managed to take 5 threes. I would love to see those 5 threes turn into 5 more opportunities near the basket or on the block or something like that. But it is what it is, man. Philly got some things to think about this offseason. They shot 34 threes, made 9 of them. But they had 34 points in the paint. So I'm pretty sure they could have traded some of those long shots for to go to the area where they were dominant. This was a 4-point game, and it seems like they just didn't do little things to help them get over the hump. I mentioned the 3-point attempts. They also missed 7 free throws. Just stuff like that in a close game, it'll lead to you losing. On the Boston side, Tatum was awesome. Kemba was awesome. They just went ahead and finished things off. I did expect them to win the series. I didn't expect them to sweep though. But yeah, they kindly put Philly out their misery, and I'm looking forward to their matchup next round with Toronto.
Yeah, for sure. With Philly, like you said, it's gonna be interesting off season. Like in my eyes, you got 2 pieces for sure, right?
Mm-hmm.
You got Ben. You see what life looks like without him. You probably don't want to go down that path ever again. So you got Ben, you got Joel. Now you got to figure out how to look. The good thing is you got 2 things to build around, right? Like 2 young building blocks. You got to figure out the stuff around them because clearly you can't put just anything around them. Because we knew you were gonna miss Ben, but this was crazy. No one else could create a shot.
Yeah, that's
like it was bad, man. And then even with Embiid, I guess my whole thing, I usually get on him too, but it's like, shoot, I might try a couple threes too. Y'all not hitting them. Like I'm down here. They're not leaving me to come contest y'all. And I'm watching some of these bricks. So I mean, can I be mad at them? And that's kind of the thing. I feel like what you got in Ben, you know what you got in Joel. You better find you. It's hard though, but you got to find you 3 people that can at least shoot the ball. They don't all have to be elite shooters, but that you at least have to honor from that range, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then at least 2 of those 3 need to also be able to accidentally put the ball on the floor. Look, we're asking a lot here, all right? But this is what you're gonna have. This is taking a deep, dark look in the mirror as a franchise and trying to figure this out, right? You're also gonna have to get folks that I don't know even accidentally enjoy defending.
Yeah,
this is bad. Like Boston's young for the most part. Like Kemba's not old yet. Jason and Jalen are still babies.
Mm-hmm.
Ben is still a baby for the most part. Joel's not super old either. You got to retool, okay? You have to retool. But all right, on to a very, very exciting game that folks truly enjoyed. Unless you were a Reggie Jackson fan, you did not like it at all. Lucas game winner evens the series. The Mavs beat the Clippers 135-133. That boy got busy 43, 17, and 13. Floor is yours, sir.
Man, this might have been the best game since the restart. You know, Dallas went down big early. 21, clawed their way back. Like I said something on Twitter, like why is the simple answer to slowing down a team is just to double team the number one guy? Like NBA teams can't figure out a way around that. Like they started throwing the double team and the trap at Kawhi, and the whole thing went south. Like I don't get it, man. But you know, kudos to the Mavs. Kawhi had a good game, 32-9. Lou Will had 36 off the bench. Still waiting for Paul George to join the party. That's pretty much been the difference in this series. You know, if he has even remotely decent games, this thing looks like 3-1. Because you know it was just that one game the Mavs just dove all over him. But hey, the Clippers miss Pat Bev, man.
Oh my goodness, do they?
Man,
like the tone is not set. Like especially a perfect example, they're able to play defense well enough to get out to these big leads, and everything's lackadaisical. And usually once they get up big, Kawhi sits down,
right?
And then it's kind of like, whatever happens about defense happens. Nobody cares. Where at least you know with Bev, like this is the one dude who I'll take a couple cheap fouls. Like so, Doc usually he's not going to burn timeouts or anything like that. But like that's what we're talking about in terms of just roster construction. Folks missing. It's not always about points. They missed the hell out of Pat. Just being an irritant. And you can tell all these folks on the Mavs are not bothered. Like, for the most part, the only time any of them seem stressed is when Kawhi's on them. After that, I mean, straight mark at 25. Like,
they'll walk into the basket at will. Like, Clippers need to figure that out because it's embarrassing. And they putting themselves in a position to have to go to work when it should be easier than this. I'm sorry, like no disrespect to Dallas, but they Clippers shouldn't be in this position. But they're playing the way they're playing, and Dallas is doing what they got to do. So if the Clippers want to let this slip away, then be my guest, because Dallas is there to take it if you want to give it to them.
Yeah, another thing is Dallas isn't scared. Again, the only person any of them seem remotely bothered by, or at least stressed by, when being defended is Kawhi. They are unbothered by any and everybody else. So my issue with Paul George is not just offensively. We already know everything's going south, but sir, you are a more than capable two-way player, and they give you nothing but respect here, sir. This is not it. This was anybody else, we're talking about folks having help and anything like that. If that's the role you're going to play, if Kawhi's Kawhi and you're who you are, if Lou Williams doesn't jump over you to provide 36 today.
Yeah, this is bad.
Like again, like I understand people like, oh man, and I don't want to hear the hurt thing. I don't want to hear any of it, honestly. If you're out there, I don't have time for it. And if you shouldn't be out there, do what's best for your mob. Get off the court. This is just a you thing. You need to get right. Your team is going through it right now. They have two capable two-way wings. We've only seen one of them this series consistently. We only seen one. And let's be completely honest here. If you're the Mavs and the Clippers are switching, the last thing you're about to do with the game on the line is have Kawhi on Luka. The last thing you're gonna do. And I know Doc's going with this switch and everything. We like you said, you're now in a position. This thing is 2-2. They're not remotely scared of you. You might be in this place where even having the option to switch, that might be taken away.
Yeah,
they're hunting. Luka was hunting Reggie Jackson. He got the ball and he was like, there he is. Screen. No. Screen again. One more again. Okay, here we go. And that was literally the fourth quarter of that game. Oh,
Yeah,
look, is
that was
where
bad,
the score is? Come on.
That was bad.
Come out this way. Dance with me. It was bad and it got dark for some of them folks quick. But shout out to Luka, heck of a performance. And just for the Mavericks as a whole. And again, we were talking about their depth a couple nights ago. They got a lot of guys coming off that bench that were former first round picks.
Mm-hmm.
Their mentals are fine. They were former first round picks. And clearly, I think it's fair to say, not many of them probably are cool with exactly where they are at this moment in their career. So, that's a chip on their shoulder too. You can't play. You've lost. You're in a situation now where like playtime is, you have no more room for error right now. It could be 3-1. Instead, it's 2-2. And that kid's only going to keep getting better. And eventually, and I guess this is the fun thing for us to get to watch is, we saw when Dallas won, their first game, the next thing we saw was, I guess Doc paid for the upgrade for Kawhi. And we saw him 2 games ago, right? Unlocked the upgrade for a couple games. He might have to go pay for a new update.
Yeah,
right?
man.
Because if PG not going to help, hey, look, man, give me some of that bread. I need the finals version of Kawhi. Just go pay for that because it's a fun matchup, though. Watching Luka and Kawhi go to work.
And Porzingis didn't play today.
Again, like at least his other guy wasn't there. Like that's the PG. This is the thing, sir. KP wasn't there. You were there. Why was there hardly a difference? That's. But I'm gonna be mature. I told myself I'm gonna stop being immature. Things like that. So we're gonna move on. All right, the Raptors. They brought out the brooms too. They weren't playing any games. And this thing, I'm gonna read it, and it's gonna take me a couple times to read it. Again, some history's been made during the course of today's NBA playoffs. The Raptors sweep the Nets 150-122. Toronto sets an NBA record for bench points with 100. They scored 150, and 100 of the 150 were scored by their bench. All right, they lost Kyle Lowry literally in the first quarter due to an ankle injury, and then their bench promptly went out and made history. Your thoughts on the reigning NBA champions? Got to make sure people put the respect on their name. Whose bench scored 100 points in the playoffs?
Brooklyn was just overmatched in this series. If we're just being honest, we always been talking about how scrappy they were since the restart began, and just kudos to him. Those guys came down here and just played their hearts out. But playoffs is a little different. The preparation is different. It's the intensity level raises, and like we've been saying, the previous 3 games, Toronto's been here before. Like they know what it feels like. Even in these unprecedented circumstances, it's still playoff basketball. They know what it takes. Those guys got experience. They're just in full playoff mode. They know each other. They're familiar. They know what to do, and they just came out to handle business. And Karis LeVert, he did what he does. Came out and had 35. And it's the Nets knew what it was. They're just fine tuning things and auditioning for next year. That's really all what it is. They're finding out who's going to get those minutes around their big guns. So they played themselves to the playoffs. Those guys at least got to taste it. So it's not unfamiliar. But yeah, Toronto, they were just clearly the better team, and they went out and showed and proved.
Yeah, all I got to add to lead that 100-point bench effort, Norm Powell with 29. He started acting a fool in like games 3 and obviously tonight in the closeout game, and then Serge 27 and 15 for him. Yeah, it's probably kind of unfair in terms of what you got. All right, last game of the night, and this game ended just maybe within the last 15, 20 minutes. The Jazz beat the Nuggets to take a 3-1 series lead. First time in playoff history that opposing players scored 45 plus. You might as well, I might have well changed that graphic to say 50 plus in Donovan Mitchell. And Jamal Murray, it was absurd. But, what's important here is Utah went up 3-1. Unlike the Clippers, they had the appropriate type of fear and urgency to deal with the situation, and they made sure that they got out of here. Again, they won this one 129-127 to take a 3-1 lead. One of the things that jumped out to me is Utah has continually owned third quarters in this series.
Mm-hmm.
They did that yet again. There used to be a team we saw way back when that made a habit of that. That it's a team that's not allowed to be mentioned anymore because they're very, very bad people. That used to do that on a regular basis, which was take advantage of teams in the third quarter. But credit Denver. They fought. They stayed in this game because I think last game they got punched. This time they stayed in the game. And Jamal Murray got to be sick, but he ended with 50 points, 11 rebounds, 6 assists, and no turnovers. One more time, 50 points, 11 rebounds, 6 assists, no turnovers. Donovan Mitchell had 51 points and 7 assists. So your take on Utah taking a 3-1 lead in this series?
Man, Denver's got to step it up defensively, for everything to go right, and they put up 127 points and lose this game. So it's a blown opportunity. I mean, they got 27 more shots than Utah did, but they couldn't defend. Utah couldn't miss. They got to the line 36 times. That it more than makes up the difference. Outside of that, Denver pretty much played a perfect game. They only had 6 turnovers. They shot close to 50%. Like, this is not a game that you should be losing. They had a guy put up 50. But hey, man, if if you score 127 and you can't, and the other people score 129, and guess what? So yeah, that was basically it. The defense, it just has to get better. Like, the high screen and roll just was like kryptonite to them for some reason. Donovan Mitchell, he turned that corner, got downhill, made decisions. In the first half, he was kind of indecisive. He would get too deep, or he would just do something erratic. But in the second half, he started getting into that soft spot and making the Nuggets make decisions. And it turned into 51 for him. So yeah, Denver's got to be sick, man, to play in every other area that well, and you just can't string together stops or stop fouling people. Like, that's terrible. They got to clean that up.
I know it's outdated, but it still matters. That end of the floor still matters, especially and that's the sad part. You can't even be like, well, man, they had 50. What can I do? Like, you had a guy go for 50 as well,
right?
And then you lost by 2, and the difference between the two guys that went for 50 was 1 point. So, like I said, for now we were talking about Luka kind of hunting Reggie Jackson. Hey, Utah has been hunting Michael Porter Jr.
Mm-hmm.
Comes on the court, we know he can get a bucket, and they do their best to make sure whatever he scores, they go after him to make sure he gives it up until he don't score. Like, again, we're not picking on anybody, just telling the truth. I know, obviously y'all see it as well. And he's not the only one they're targeting over there. All right, it's not just him. Tonight they got the Joker a couple times too. They went hunting at him, put him in some awkward situations. Like you said, Donovan started coming off that screen a little bit more patient, and Joker was in no man's land. Didn't want to leave Gobert, giving up that midi, and Donovan kept taking it. I know he hit 9 threes as well, but I've really enjoyed the evolution of Donovan Mitchell, the playmaker, especially on this stage. It's been fun to watch that, especially, we kind of waited most of the year because, some of folks were excited about him and Conley getting together and what that could bring because both folks could play off ball. Either of them could be the primary ball handler in cases. And, it took a while, but if you're Utah, you can't be mad at it. Right now, it's paid off, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, we got a full day games tomorrow as well. If you don't have anything else to add, man, we're going to get out of here.
Oh, no, I'm good.
All right, folks, thanks for hanging with us for nightly NBA recap on August 23rd.